Well, hello, youth ministry family and friends and kids of all ages. Today we are going to be doing truth bombs with the saints about Saint Christopher Magallenes. Is that how it's said? Stephen, is that what you said? Magallenes?
Magallenes.
Magallenes? I don't know. I'm not a good
It's like a
Spanish.
Y.
Magallenes.
It's okay, we'll learn you.
Okay, you'll learn me well.
Cristobal Magallenes.
Cristobal. Yes, he would not have been Christopher in Spanish. That is true. He was from Mexico, and today I have with me a wonderful seminarian, now Deacon, Scott Morgan. Scott, you could change your name on your screen to say Deacon Scott Morgan. That would be cool. You could. And we also have seminarian, not yet a deacon, Stephen Codekas.
Yay.
Mr. Codekas is here. So I think before we started researching this guy, none of us knew anything, did we? I see
not
you raise
a clue.
your hand.
I had never heard of
not a clue. So what did you discover about this fine saint and his companions? Because it's a lot of, there's 24 other martyrs who are celebrated with him on that day. So it's not just him. So Scott, what you got?
So he was a priest, which is pretty cool. And he was his companions, right? So they were all priests except for 3 of them. And unlike when we talk about like martyrs and their companions where they all died like at the same time, they grouped the companions together, but it was actually over a period of time. And the culture they lived in at the time was extremely anti-Catholic, which in itself is hard to believe.
It's Mexico,
especially
for
where they
sake.
lived. Right. Yeah. So, to be a priest in right in an anti-Catholic Mexico is just, I can't even imagine what that was like. But for him to be arrested, having literally not done anything but walk to mass, just for the simple fact that he was a priest. So, but I don't want to steal all of Stephen's thunder either, so. I'll let Stephen say something. Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
What you got, Stephen?
First off, I like his last words. I am innocent and I die innocent. I forgive those responsible, and he asked God that the shedding of his blood would be to serve to unite Mexico, to bring peace to the divided Mexico. It is hard to imagine persecution in Mexico, but
Stephen, I also found out in regards to when they were shot, right? Yeah, firing squad. He was with another priest, and not only did he say that amazing quote, which I think is very cool, the priest absolved each other and spoke words of comfort to each other before they went before the firing squad. Yeah. Okay, there's a reason to be a priest and die with a priest. That's pretty amazing, right? and pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Just wanted to add the little nugget there.
Yeah, no, all this is happening during the pretty famous, or at least, I don't know, for me, growing up in California, Southern California, aka Northern Mexico, called the Cristero War. It was basically in the early 20th century. Mexico was passing a lot of legislation that was seen by clergy and others as being anti-religious, anti-Catholic, trying to institute this almost atheistic state for Mexico, and it spawned a lot of persecution. And from that, this Cristero War. There's a movie that came out a couple of years ago about it, For Greater Glory. And interesting enough, Peter O'Toole's character is regarded as being this priest, Saint Christopher Magallenes.
Huh. Have you seen it yet, Stephen?
I have. I haven't seen it recently. I have seen it though. It's a great movie.
Oh, good. Because now when I saw that, I thought, ooh, I really, really, really want to see that sometime. You know, and
Yeah,
not
It's a
only
good, yeah.
it's a good flick. You know, the
Mhm.
other thing that I loved about him, here we are during this war, they're being persecuted. And so they closed the seminary that he had gone to in Guadalajara. So he opened a seminary of his own at his parish.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
genius.
Go back to your roots, you know?
You know, he didn't whine. He just, well, then if they're not going to let us do it there, then we're going to do it here. And I think
Yeah.
we have a lot to learn from.
Did
Now-
you see the quote from the priest that he died with?
Yes,
Like
that was
two awesome
also in the
quotes
notes.
together. Yeah. For God we lived, and for him we die. Like, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
Brings a little tear to my eye. It really does. It's just.
I know.
But because I did not grow up in northern Mexico, Southern California, I really don't know much about this except for Miguel Pro. I know a tiny bit
Right, he's
because
kind
of
of the
Blessed
famous
Miguel
guy, right?
Pro. Is he canonized yet? I don't think he is.
I don't think so. I think
don't
he's
think so
still a
either.
blessed.
He's just beatified. Okay. Well, so I know a little tiny bit because of Miguel Pro, but I read a little bit about the men who were in charge during that time. The one guy, Cannibal Yirdo, Cannibal, who was the strong man, became the strong man to the president, who was also a bad guy. He was so anti-Catholic, get this, he named his sons Lenin, Satan, and Lucifer.
Oh,
Oh,
you
buddy.
know, Lucifer could be such a nice name, but it's really tainted, isn't it?
Really, really is. He was a
Like, here's my
farmer.
son, Lucy.
No, let's not. No. He was a farmer, named his bulls God, a hog Pope, a cow Mary, and a donkey Christ. He was the one who started the destruction of all crucifixes in public buildings and graveyards in Tabasco, which is where he lived. And then once he linked up with the president, I guess it would be Calles, Plutarco Calles.
Yeah.
Yeah, Calles also came from such a crazy background. He became a devout believer in atheism, shared his beliefs with others. So you can imagine these two guys together, what a powerhouse they were against the force of Catholicism. But obviously, it didn't stick, did it? Which is a good thing, because now if you go to Mexico now, it's not hard to find a Catholic church, and there's actually crucifixes and stuff in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that makes it so Mexican and so deeply rooted when you talk about the war is they talk about the war, the slogan was, "Long live Christ the King and the Virgin of Guadalupe." I mean, that's about as Mexican, there she is. That's about as Mexican as you can be. They also closed churches and schools. I mean, anything that was associated with Catholicism, they were all closed. And I think we need to sometimes stop complaining about being closed down for this little pandemic. Not that it's little, but we know we can open our churches again. They lived and didn't know if they would ever be opened again. And no one's charging into our churches and ripping down crucifixes, and everything's still safe and sound. The other thing that I love about this, because I've been to the John Paul II Shrine in DC. Did we walk through it, Scott, when you were there with me?
We did, yeah.
One of the last rooms you go through in the JP2 Shrine is a room with all the saints listed that he canonized during his papacy. And they play the litany of the saints in the background. It gives me, I'm talking about it and I'm getting chills because it's so phenomenal. And he canonized 482 saints, which is a lot of saints. But I just read an article today that talked about not only did JP2 canonize a lot, but Benedict did as well. And Pope Francis has been known for canonizing a lot of saints. And the three of them together have so far canonized 1,375 saints. That's a lot. And the whole intention of that is just, there is a strong belief in the church. We are all called to be saints. And no matter our status in life, if we're poor, we've talked about saints so far, truth bombs. They're poor. We've talked about those who are wealthy who become saints. No matter who you are, religious, layperson, you are called to be a saint. Doesn't matter if you're smart, doesn't matter. None of that stuff seems to matter, right? It's all about the love of the Lord and how you live your life. So it's just really, really beautiful. I love modern saints because then you have he's from the 1920s, you have real photos of these guys, and you know, it's just cool. We talked about Saint Dymphna and Isidore last week. We don't have photos of them. That was a little longer ago.
Yeah, just a day or two.
Just a day or two. And the fact too that he was just killed for going to mass. I mean, they would bring up trumped charges against that. Trump charges, that's funny. And they would just kill them. No trial, no nothing. You were just killed if you were a priest. So a really amazing role model for all of us. So, well, since there's three of us, I get to answer truth bomb questions too.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Yeah. Okay, Scott.
Beautifully timed.
Hi.
Yay. Hi, Scott. Scott, it's so good to see you. Deacon Scott.
Good to see you.
Deacon Scott Morgan. Oh, and by the way, it's good to see you're back home from home.
Yeah,
Got to see the mom bear.
I did. Yeah, and grandma and sister and all the
That's
peoples.
so good. All the peoples. So
All the
glad you are safe, back safe and sound, which is always good. Your truth bomb question is, if Saint Christopher was in the Star Wars saga, who would he be?
Ooh. That is a great question. I'm going to say, Tisk.
We hang around each other way too much. Did you see how we all
Yeah. I'm going to say that I'm going to say that he would be Luke.
Luke. Interesting. Yeah. And why Luke?
Yeah. I was afraid you would ask me that.
Yeah, I had a different idea who it would be, but go ahead. I'm curious.
No, I want to hear your idea after he explains. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so one reason I picked Luke is because I was racking my brain and I was only coming up with the bad guys, and I was like, well, I can't.
I was only coming up with bad guys.
So anyway, that I would say, yeah, I think, he obviously tried to do the right thing even in the midst of opposition. So it's been a while since we've watched the movies, but we've been watching the what's the
Clone Wars?
Yeah.
You've been watching Clone Wars? We just finished watching them, the new season.
Like, one of the things that
the last four
that you see in his character in Clone Wars is that he does what he knows or what his instinct tells him he needs to do, even when everybody else is telling him don't do that.
Luke's not in Clone Wars because he's not alive yet. You were talking about Anakin.
Yeah, Anakin, not Luke. Anyway, Skywalker, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. But Anakin is Luke's father, so it all.
It's true. It all goes together.
It all does go together.
It does.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that answer. Okay, because now, Stephen, I'm curious what you were going to say. If it was your
I was going to say Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Because they both die serving a greater cause.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan takes in Luke and trains him, so it's like Saint Christopher starting his own little seminary.
It's true.
Saint Obi-Wan, pray for us.
Saint
Obi-Wan. Nobis.
Do you know who was the guy who played Obi-Wan in the original set of movies? What's his name?
Ewan McGregor.
David McGregor, is that it?
Ewan. No, wait.
Ewan
Alec
McGregor.
Guinness. Alec Guinness.
Okay, Alec Guinness. Do you know that Alec Guinness, his mother considered aborting him?
Really?
He has one of the most fantastic pro-life stories. It's very, very good. I have it. If it's not online anymore, I have the article. in my office, and it's really, really interesting because it's a great story to use with kids when they say, you know, I mean, every life is significant and the world would be a different place if it wasn't for him, you know, and we had no idea when he was in utero that this is what he would end up being. And he is the voice of Obi-Wan. Does not matter that other people have played him in Clone Wars and stuff, but still, that
Those
voice.
other guys.
Those other dudes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like in reading the other week.
But I do love Clone Wars, by the way.
Yeah,
I do.
And it
My
all kind
son
of runs together because there's like 500 stories, and it's like, good God.
So my son did a really good job. He made us watch only certain arcs, Stephen. So I don't know if that makes sense. So we wouldn't watch every episode. He would pick certain arcs for us to watch to help us understand when we watched those last few episodes that came out on Disney Plus, to help us understand that. So we had a really good tutelage, I guess, in the whole club. This has been my pandemic. Okay, Clone Wars.
Hey, man.
Now we're watching. Now we're watching How to Make the Mandalorian. They created 8 episodes about, and it's good. It's very good. Your truth bomb question is: if Saint Christopher could only take one thing to a desert island, what would it be?
I mean, the answer has to be like a Bible, right? Or like a mass kit.
A mass kit.
Yeah.
That's like multiple things in one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Loophole.
Boom. Mass kit.
And I bet his rosary's in the mass kit too. So
yeah,
got it all.
Bible.
Well, but remember, we always have a rosary with us.
That's true. That's true. But
true.
You know, he had the beads.
Oh, I'm sure his beads were worn.
Probably.
Oh yeah, from like whipping state soldiers.
I could use that comment for my question because I just looked ahead. It says he has a cool scar on his face. How did he get it? He got it from whipping the rosary of the state officer.
Those rosaries have like really good recoil sometimes.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah. There you go. I also am thinking that he would also have scratches on his face from, it said that he evangelized to the local indigenous people, the Huchol people. So I can just see him going through the forest and the woods and like branches smacking his face and stuff, trying to get to the indigenous people. And he had like big scars from all the scratches on his face. Huh?
It's true.
You know. Yeah, I mean, it was still the 1920s and it was Mexico. So we're not talking paved roads. Not even close. Not even close to that time. Okay, Mr. Scott or Deacon Scott.
Hi.
If Saint Christopher could have time traveled, where would he have wanted to go?
Ooh.
So he can go forward or he can go backward in time.
You give me hard ones. Why do you do that?
Sorry.
If he could go anywhere, where would he go? I think, okay, so I think he would have went one or two places. I think that he would have wanted to go to the Holy Land to talk with Jesus and the 12.
Like in Jesus's time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that he also would have liked to have gone back in time in his own country to meet the people around the apparitions of Our Lady of Guadalupe. To be there in that time, to kind of get, I guess, the eyewitness account, if you will, to talk to what were they thinking? What is it like to be there? Or what would it have been like to be there even before the church was built, right? But to go and just be where she was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
I love Guadalupe because the image of Juan Diego dumping the roses.
Yeah.
Like opening his tomb and just having that all dump out
The
at a
original
time of
mic
year.
drop.
Yes,
Right?
the ultimate Catholic mic drop is absolutely it. I also wonder, Scott, if he would want to go into the future to see a Mexico where this crap was not happening.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be all the places, man.
He can't be all the places, but I
He's
think
spirit now. His body's not confined.
Thanks, Steven.
it reminds me of the Back to the Future meme these days, and it says, "Marty, don't go to 2020."
Yeah.
Don't go to
Or
2020.
to see like the saints that have come, from Mexico, even the saints that we have now and their stories, and to see the amount of saints that we have, like since his time, even like you talked about John Paul. John Paul is known to be, like the most traveled pope ever, and has canonized at his time had canonized more saints than any other pontiff in the history of the church. And to see what, just what that would have been like, the saints that we have, and the church now, having come so far, even since the 20s, the events that have happened. So yeah. All the places.
Absolutely. All the places. So interesting. I love thinking about this stuff. I love learning about these guys. I never would have learned about this guy. No reason to, except for this. Okay.
Anyway.
Anywho.
But now when you all are priests, you can celebrate the optional memorial and you'll know.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing. Okay, Stephen Codekas, here is your question. Which cartoon character is he most like? You do not have to restrict yourself to just Disney or just Looney Tunes. Literally, the sky is yours when it comes to cartoon characters.
Yay, this guy is mine. Animated series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. No, I'm kidding.
I knew you were going to say that is called cheating, Mr. Steven.
It's called a loophole?
That would be a loophole.
Let's see. Problem is, the rare cartoons I do watch
are not appropriate for children. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, let's see here. Gosh, that's a good question. Maybe like keep thinking of something from like The Simpsons. I don't know. I don't know, like Radioactive Man or something, like a superhero.
Why Radioactive Man?
That's like the only superhero in Simpsons I could think of.
He is a superhero. Saint Christopher is a superhero.
Right? I know. I'll do what's his name? It's one of the X-Men. Nightcrawler. Devout. He's a superhero. He's an X-Men.
X-Men, but an X is in this website.
Yeah. The St. Andrew's Men.
St. Andrew's Men, that's right.
See, Scott, because the cross is like this. As a mutants are like set apart from like everyday people, and like as a priest, he's kind of set apart. And Nightcrawler is like a really devout. Oh, okay, so maybe two options. Nightcrawler is like a really devout Catholic. But no, I take it back. Now I'm going to say Daredevil. Specifically the Frank Miller Daredevil series, or what's his name from like Bill and Ted? Not Bill and Ted, but anyway, Daredevil another strong Catholic. Kind of gritty, you know. He fought a lot, like the punks in Hell's Kitchen, you know, like this war torn kind of area in New York. And again, strong Catholic faith. So yeah, Daredevil. I'll go with that.
Daredevil. Okay. I like it. I like it a lot.
You got to be a
What do you
little bit of a daredevil to be a priest in Mexico at that time.
Yeah. You know, and I wonder if JP2 thought about his own life connections to St. Christopher, growing up Nazi time and hidden seminarian and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. My question is, if he was a genre of music, what would it be? I kind of feel a little bit like the blues or the country songs. Kind of a little nobody knows the trouble I've seen. And also, you know, Scott, you and I have talked about this often, the multiple stanzas we could write sometimes of our lives.
Oh, yeah.
When things go wrong. And I kind of feel like he could have a whole stanza of a song just about, and then the seminary closed. And I had to open one. And then this happened. And then that happened. And just because he was martyred and martyred with another priest, I'm sure he had witnessed Catholics disappearing before, you know, he was captured. And so, yeah, I'm thinking the blues or a little bit of country song. But why do you sing the blues? You actually sing the blues to get the blues out and to be happy again. So probably would sing the blues and then unite it to the suffering of Christ, because that just seems like something St. Christopher would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So I really just want to find a blues song that matches. No. Okay, Scott, this one's, I don't know why I shuffled the deck, so I'm not quite sure why you keep saying you're getting the hard ones, but I think this is kind of a hard one. We've had some great answers, but it's a favorite question now. If he was a can of paint, what color would it be and what would it be called?
What an odd question. He were a can of paint. What color would it be?
Well, for Mary, I think we settled on Star of the Sea foam green.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, she is Star of the Sea.
Yeah.
It is, but is it green? I mean, maybe if it's just a sea star, then maybe it is green. I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, anywho, back to Christopher. He wore a can of paint. God, that is a tough question.
I mean, he is a martyr. Would it be red?
But I feel like that's an easy answer. I don't know.
It is.
What do you get when you mix red and blue?
Sea foam green. Can you? No.
Yeah.
I'm just covering up. I'm just covering myself up. Can't see. But if I shake it.
What did you say? Put red and green together or red and blue together?
Red and blue. Yeah, that would give
Makes
you what? A
purple.
Purple? Yeah.
And now we know our colors.
Yay!
Yay! Next on Truth Bombs with the Saints, we're gonna put this square peg in a square hole. Yay!
That lesson is reserved for Ben Schneedel. Now you know your colors, because you know he's watching this going, red and blue make purple.
Yeah.
What?
No.
Somehow he's texting me about that very thing. Yes, and
purple.
Yeah, I'm gonna say purple, because he would have, I'm sure, had a very strong devotion to the Blessed Mother, and he was a martyr. So it would be purple. But it would not be one of those like really light purples. It's one of those really rich dark purples. Yeah.
Yeah. Purple power.
Yeah.
Purple power. We have to come up with some creative name for it, though.
Rosary with purple? No.
No.
TBD on the name.
Viva Purple Ray.
Okay, that would be epic. Well, only the Catholics would understand it, but it's fine. It's just fine.
Because he's saying that's kind of regal,
It's
right?
true. Yeah.
There you go.
Purple, regal,
Purple. Purple, purple, purple.
penitential purple.
Penitential purple. But we said deep, deep, deep purple. Deep purple. So
Yeah.
Very penitential.
he was a martyr, so very penitential it is. Penitential purple.
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
Penitential purple.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, that was a good one. We did the blue, we did the red, we did the, okay. Thank you, Codekas, for that charming little face. If our dear Saint Christopher had a YouTube channel, what would his YouTube channel be about?
It'd be about subverting civil authorities.
Ooh. Would it be a private channel by invite only then?
I think so. I think you need the URL, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talk about taking people up for the cause. So it's kind of interesting. So the Knights of Columbus at the time, in order to like raise awareness about the Cristero movement in the U.S., we're like handing out like just like 1 million leaflets to educate people about what's going on in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like this knowledge campaign that has to be kind of waged. Like, why are we doing all this? Plus, when the Knights of Columbus started doing that, started getting financially involved in Mexico during the war, the Ku Klux Klan responded and sent money too against the Knights.
Whoa.
Yeah, they backed the government at the time. Says, hey, this is to help fight those dirty Catholics, those dirty papists.
So really, a YouTube channel would have been a well-used instrument.
I think so, you know.
If it had been accessible during that day.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been like a couple incognito episodes on like how to pistol whip with your rosary.
Yeah. Well, that's like the deep
Yeah.
web.
Yeah.
The deep, deep web.
The deep
Brought to you
web.
by Saint Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Until like the government started knocking on your door. How come your ads are so weird? No reason.
No reason. I don't know.
His YouTube channel would be called Cristero Corner. And it's all the
I like that.
yeah.
I like that. Yeah, it would be. They could have a little background wallpaper on his channel of just the Lady of Guadalupe.
Yeah, against the backdrop of penitential purple.
Yeah.
Against the backdrop of penitential. There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
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 Okay, my question is, what word or phrase do they use far too often? You know, I work in a parish and I work for a parish priest, and I could just see St. Christopher being one of those who would say about everything, you know, we need to pray about this. Let us pray. So every decision, everything that came through their door, he would say, oh, let us pray. And I'm sure the staff people just would roll their eyes and go, seriously, again? Not that we shouldn't pray about things, because we should, but I could see him being, though he was a rebel, he was not I would not have expected him to be a shout from the rooftops kind of rebel.
Right.
Kind of a quiet, unassuming guy, which sometimes those are my favorite saints, the ones that, you know, it's like Pier Giorgio Frassati, where his family didn't even know he was helping the poor and stuff. So little incognito, but yeah, I could see him saying, let us pray about everything, and people just going, really? We have to do that again? That's what I would say.
Always the quiet ones.
It's true.
It's always the quiet ones. That's the way it is when you teach. It's always the quiet ones you got to watch out for. Youth ministry too, those quiet ones. You just never know what they're going to say or do. Yeah. So we just have 2 more questions here, and then we will be rounding out our episode. So Scott,
Hi.
what does Saint Christopher secretly have a tattoo of, and where is it? Of course it would be secret, because if it was a Catholic symbol, he wouldn't.
I mean, I think it would be like on his arm, like his upper arm, because back then he probably would have worn his cassock, like
Full cassock. Yeah.
So, but what would it be? I would say, let me find his picture. Okay, I'm looking at his picture. You know, get the image. See, there he is. I think it would either be a rosary or maybe this. Maybe he has two. One of the rosary, but then on the other arm, got like, imagine like the 3 nails from the cross with like the crown of thorns around them.
Oh. So we could have Jesus and Mary. Like right
Yeah.
there. Jesus and Mary. That seems very fitting for St. Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fitting. He could have done one during seminary, and then, you know, the rosary would have been seminary. Parish life would have made him do the crown of thorns.
Right. That's right. He has a check mark on his forearm for every soldier he's whipped.
Yeah.
He just adds another tick.
That's right.
Amen. No.
All purple though.
All purple.
It would be in purple.
All purple. All
Yeah.
purple.
From the bruises from the rosary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the rosary, and I have to laugh recently because my parents pray the rosary with us every weekday at 4:00. Sometimes if I record this between 3 and 4, I have to tell them we must be off by 4:00, or else my parents think I'm dead, because I have to start the rosary meeting.
They'll whip you.
Yeah, it's Corona tide, baby. It's serious stuff, man.
Yeah.
In the I-Cold Allbrink clan. Okay, Codekas. Codekas, here's the last and final question. Okay, that's weird because then you can't see it because
I can't see my
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. It's back. It's gone. If Saint Christopher had been an inventor, what would he have invented first?
Well, I'm going to first do a little Google check just to see, just to get my dates right.
Mm-hmm.
1920. Correct for him. I had something else. Okay, perfect. He would have invented the burrito.
The burrito?
It
Burrito
wasn't
came
invented
out
yet?
By the 1930s, it was. The
So
next
he
decade.
He could have invented it early, is what you're saying?
He could have invented it earlier so that he'd have a form of physical sustenance to take on the road and visit people.
Because he could have wrapped it.
It's
like,
very compact, you know?
Yeah. That's
yeah.
true. There's nothing worse than trying to walk and eat your taco, and then all of your taco stuff falls apart.
I know. It's like leaving breadcrumbs, but only it's like meat and cheese stuff.
Mm-hmm. And a burrito has a serious, it's not a crepe, you know? I mean, the tortilla has substance to it.
Yeah, not like
unlike
those.
Crepe.
Not like those flatbreads of those cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
Yeah, and with the burrito, you can put your Taco Bell fire sauce in there, and it stays in the burrito.
It stays in the burrito. Your salsa has to be as fiery as your passion for the Lord.
That's
Otherwise,
right.
what are you doing?
Yeah, see?
Ooh. You know, and there is a question here that we did not get to that said, if he were a sauce, what sauce would he be? Taco Bell fire sauce.
There you go.
All of the fiery sauces.
The burrito, the Taco Bell fire sauce, you know.
There you have it.
You taste it and then it gives you the zing. That was St. Christopher. You encounter him and then you get the zing of the Lord.
Yeah. Ooh. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Little fiery.
Little fiery.
Gonna wake me up.
That actually is probably not too funny because he died by a firing squad.
Yeah, but probably not their Diablo sauce.
But anyway, anything else you want to say about this saint before we go? I did find it interesting. I was telling you guys right before we started that the Mass he was going to celebrate was the Mass on the feast of Saint Rita of Cascia, which I am doing Truth Bombs with the Saints, recording it with Father Kyle later this week. Saint Rita is a favorite of his. We will find out because the feast day is on the feast, or not the feast. The feast day is on the anniversary of his ordination. So very important saint for him. So it's just cool, all those little parallels to our lives as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you want to stand up for your faith a little bit more too.
Absolutely.
No, we don't really have anything to worry about in comparison to what they worried about in the 1920s in Mexico. So
Fact.
count our blessings one by one. Okay, well, tune in next time when we have Truth Bombs with the Saints. We're recording a few other episodes this week I'm very excited about. And until then, goodbye. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of your parents, get your schoolwork done, all that good stuff. We're praying for you. Love you guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, heart, 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 heart.